Thank you, Tommaso. So welcome, everyone, also from my side. I'm Konstantinos Andronikidis, as Tommaso mentioned. And yeah, I work as Education Policy Manager at European Schoolnet, and had the pleasure to work on this publication that we are launching today. So we are launching the publication Wellbeing in Digital Environment in School, the 5th volume of our agile collection of information that we have been doing now for the past 3-4 years. And we do that because we want to support timely exchange of information and collection of practices and strategies of our ministries on topics that are very high on the agenda and concern our member education authorities. We try to collect this information and kind of put them together so that we highlight the state-of-the-art activities and processes that are happening in the different countries. So that's why having this topic quite high in the discussions, in the political dialogue, in the social dialogue, we thought it's important, and our members actually thought it's important to focus on well-being in digital environment in schools. So why did we focus on this topic? Of course, there is a very big debate on the influence of digital technologies on mental health of students and the behavior of young people and the developmental challenges that this might lead. There's also discussions on the students' well-being and the motivation to learn and the sense of belonging within the school environment. However, the truth is that students, as we heard earlier today, are actively engaged in the digital environment. It's in fact very difficult to separate the two for them. But the intensity of the use, as we heard from both keynote speeches and the introductory speeches, raises questions about the potential impact that this has. We know that digital environments, and especially social media use, has raised concerns about cyberbullying, exposure to harmful content, privacy abuses, and the potential for addiction. However, it is very important to highlight that there is a distinction between the use of social media or technology in normal life and the use of educational purposed technology. So technologies and tools that are used for pedagogical purposes within the school context. We know that this has the potential to improve personalization of learning, to bring access to different tools and resources for many students and teachers, and also to support innovative pedagogies and provide insights, so data for improving the education provision. So when we were searching for how to phrase well-being in this digital environment, we looked at different definitions, and some of us use the definition digital well-being. This forum also does, as an all-encompassing term. Others, like the European Council, focus on the term well-being in digital education, which refers to learners and educators' well-being, focusing mainly on the digital education tools, services, applications, and learning environments. But for this agile collection of information, we wanted to differentiate a bit. So we focused, or we kind of phrased it as well-being in digital environment in school. And that is because we wanted to cover both educational aspects, so using of learning platforms, working on subject-specific material, but also non-educational aspects that are happening within the school context. So the use of social media, applications, games, and digital communication among students, parents, and teachers that are happening because the school exists. So within the school walls and outside of it. So what did we find? We had the pleasure to receive responses from 20 education systems across our members, And we found that 10 out of the 20 respondents have specific initiatives, policies, or practices related to well-being in digital environments. Most of them, as you can see, have policies or strategies that have components of digital in them, and they usually have a broader kind of focus on well-being, mental health, etc. So we see here the concerns that our members kind of focused on when we asked them what are the main issues that they are concerned about. And we see that there is a focal point on education policy related to well-being in digital environments. And they're really trying to connect digital education with the mental health of students. So we saw that out of 18 countries responded to this question, 18 of them, 18 out of 18 mentioned cyberbullying as one of the main concerns. Mental health of students and teachers was also very high, digital exclusion, disinformation, and the stress that digital device use causes to education actors, so students and teachers. Then we see that there is, when it comes to the monitoring, there is really not one way that our members really follow. There is a mix of nationally conducted surveys periodically on well-being in education. Other education systems also promote or encourage schools to develop their own monitoring system, their own surveys. There is different self-assessment tools on this topic, and some education systems do not have any monitoring on well-being currently. Then, when it comes to the curriculum and well-being, there is a focus on the main areas, on the main kind of school years, so primary, lower secondary, and upper secondary. We see that most respondents have some kind of connection to well-being in the curriculum, but there are some that they do not have at all any connection to that. And in early years, there is only five education systems that responded to the question that have some kind of connection to the curriculum. We can see also that there is a integration of well-being within a broader cross-curriculum, mainly approach. So we see it in digital competence initiatives and development of digital competencies that is mainly focusing on. And then finally, on the training opportunities, all 18 countries that responded to this question offer training opportunities for teachers on well-being through nationally offered programs or by encouraging the schools to develop their own training programs for the teachers, or by relying on third-party organizations, so NGOs, other foundations or institutions that provide training for teachers. However, we see that this is very varied across the countries in terms of the duration, the enforceability, whether it's mandatory or not, the focus that it has, and the format that it takes. So it's really diverse, and there is no one-fits-all approach that our members currently take. So that was very broad and very short. So that's why I encourage you to... Here's my last slide. So I have a QR code there, if you want to scan it. But be sure that we are launching the publication promotion on our website, so eun.org, europeanschoolnet.org. Maybe you won't get it, I don't know. And also on our social media. And we will also share it on the email that we will share after the forum. So we would be very glad if you go through the publication, read it. It's much more comprehensive It shares examples from the different countries as well. It delves into the particularities of the different education systems. And we hope this is a good resource for you to understand a bit the political landscape. Voila. That's the QR code if you want to get to the report. So because we don't have time to delve into the national policies of all 20 countries that participated into this survey, we thought of inviting some of them today, experts from 4 education systems, to discuss with us what their measures and activities are in this domain. So we will have a little discussion, and we hope to spark some conversation also among you. So we encourage questions also from the audience. So I would like to welcome on the stage Cosmin, a researcher at the Center for Research and Studies in Sociology of the University of Lisbon in Portugal, Klara, Bilić, Meštrić, Head of Research Unit at the Department of the Research on Digital Technologies at the Croatian Academic and Research Network, the CARNET, Raffaella Carro, Senior Researcher at INDIRE, Italy's National Institute for Documentation, Innovation and Educational Research, and Sümeyye, Hatice, Eral, Head of Department for Digital Skills of the Ministry of National Education of Türkiye. So please welcome them on the stage. And we can start, please sit. And we can start our discussion a bit, delving more into what the countries are actually doing, so you can get an idea of what you will also find in the report that we just briefly presented. So I'll start right in with Cosmin. So as the Director General today mentioned, Portugal has launched a national recommendations for well-being in digital, promoting digital well-being in education. So could you tell us a bit more what is the purpose of this publication and what is the core recommendations that it has?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation of being here. Actually, I bring the recommendations here just to have an idea. It's a very short document that we elaborated because we are aware that schools are bombarded with a lot of materials, and usually they tend to be very long. So we try to keep these recommendations short and very, very accessible. And then 4 other documents were developed for parents, students, teachers, and parents, student teachers, and school directors, precisely to understand how they can use and they can position themselves regarding this recommendation. So providing a little bit of context, we know from previous presentations today that well-being in schools has become more important, and we have also the European recommendations that were mentioned today, elaborated by an expert group put up by the European Commission on well-being at school. However, in Portugal, we recognize that digital well-being brings additional challenges, and hence we decided to focus specifically on this digital component on well-being. And again, because we already have initiatives in place at European and national level on well-being more broadly. And I would like to raise 3 main points regarding these recommendations on digital well-being that were launched in Portugal. So first, we need to consider the diversity of topics that schools are always asked to focus upon. We can think about citizenship education, education for sustainability, and many, many other topics. And then everything gets a little bit diluted, and it's very difficult to focus on everything. With these recommendations, actually, we wanted to sound a little bit the alarm. I think we saw in the previous recommendations, in the previous presentations, that there is a social alarm around the impact of digital tools on ourselves as adults, and especially on children and young people. And these recommendations bring the attention of schools to this very important issue and encourage them to start thinking about them and to start taking action. The second point of the recommendations is that we do not tell the schools what they have to do regarding digital well-being, because we understand that every school has a specific community, has a specific culture, and schools tend to be, in a way, using an Italian sociologist phrasing, Franco Ferrarotti, schools are, can be considered actually small universes that are so specific that this needs to be approached at the school community level, engaging the entire school community, the parents, the teachers in this discussion. So our core recommendation is start talking about this. What are the challenges? What is digital well-being? Why do we need to focus on it, and how? And then take a clear position on what needs to be done regarding this. And the third point we make in these recommendations is to acknowledge that schools cannot deal alone with such a complex issue. It goes beyond the knowledge and the expertise that we have inside the school. We need external actors for more serious cases of well-being and difficulties with mental health. And for this reason, we need to have this whole school approach. We need to have these collaborations and partnerships in and around schools in place. So I think that should be enough.
Thank you very much for this overview, and I'm sure we're going to go in aspects of it later on as well. So maybe I go to Italy now, Raffaella. So Italy, we see also in the report that the Italian approach is very diverse and systemic, so it tries to link the digital transformation with well-being and citizenship. So how is this achieved, and what are the main challenges that you face?
Yeah, in Italy, digital well-being is not treated as a standalone issue, but is embedded in a broader national strategy, like the National Digital School Plan or the Futura initiative that is under the National Recovery and Resilience Investment Plan. And these strategies focus on upgrading school infrastructures, creative, innovative learning environments, developing students' digital skills, and also strengthening teacher training. So the infrastructure plays a key role. And investments are made to create a safe, sustainable, and accessible school building. Also safer from the point of view of the structure. You know that Italy is a seismic country, so they have to renovate a building, and some of the school took this opportunity to create also more innovative learning environment for a better learning experience. So we transform classroom and laboratories are being redesigned to be more with more technology, and also more flexible from the point of view of furnishing, so to create a more engaging learning experience. In this system, teacher training is crucial. So we invested in large-scale professional development programs, and both to understand the potential of digital instrument from the point of view of didactics, but also for the risk of digital tools. And the investment were for the schools that can organize their own training program, depending on their needs. But we have also a national platform that is called Scuola Futura platform that offers digital transitioning training, including courses on well-being and digital environment. Then this vision is supported also by a legal framework. We have some guidelines from preventing and addressing bullying and cyberbullying for the most, emphasizing the importance of identifying risk situation and train school staff to do this. And finally, in 2024, we had a law that introduces social and emotional learning into the curriculum. emphasizing the importance of students' personal development along with academic achievement. And of course, this system has some challenges. In Italy, we have a persistent regional digital divides, so especially in infrastructure and digital teacher digital competence. There is a challenge to move from policy to measurable outcomes in student safety and well-being. There is also a challenge to ensure teaching engagement because training is voluntary, so they are not obliged to do this. And then finally, while social and emotional skills are increasingly recognized as essential, there is difficult to integrate them in the assessment, so informal exams. So they are important, but this is the challenge for the moment, since the law is dated back for last year. So.
Thanks a lot. And we already see how the different approaches in only 2 countries. And now if we go to Croatia, so the issue of well-being in digital environment is addressed through different projects that both your institute but also the ministry are involved in, and other organizations as well. Could you perhaps give us an overview of what are the main projects and what are the advantages of this approach?
Okay, so the organization I'm representing is CARNET. It's Croatian Academic and Research Network, and this organization or state agency is in charge of digital education and digital transformation of educational system, but of the system as whole. So all the internet domains are provided by CARNET. 30 years ago, CARNET started the internet in Croatia. We have a very important sector in charge of cybersecurity, so it's the safe cybersecurity. So we cover very, very different aspects, but there is a very, very strong focus on education. And we have a couple of, when I saw your question, I really wanted to start from the very beginning. Like 20 years ago, we had this project E-Islands, which addressed the problem of people leaving the islands. So small islands which are getting uninhibited, children are leaving, there are no teachers. And that's one of the, when I think of our project and well-being, this was long before the buzzword well-being, but we were actually thinking, what's happening with people, what's happening with society, what needs need to be addressed, and how can we help them with technology. So although this is a very old project, long gone, I really think it's exemplary of this focus on well-being. Because what we did back then, we small schools on small islands with all the infrastructure for online teaching. And that was in 2000 and it was, I can't remember now, but very long time ago. So we had 2 or 3 kids in one small school on an island, and like 3 or 4 islands connected with the mainland, and there we had subject teachers who used new technology back then to teach those schools. And that's how we tried to prevent depopulation and to give quality to life on islands. I just had to mention this project, but the thing is that we now talk a lot about the well-being, but well-being, I think if you do systematic approach, where you put the humans at the center, then you think only how you can help with the technology. And that's what CARNET's been doing. And now I'll go forward to now. So we have these 2, or let's say 3 flagship projects at the moment. One of them is e-universities, where we actually conduct digital transformation of higher education. And they all go in a quite similar vein, and you mentioned all of these. You provide infrastructure, you provide support, you give education, and you do research constantly. Before you do that, in order to see what's needed, and then you follow through to see what needs to be adjusted. So there are many elements of e-universities, but regarding your question, well-being, we developed a module called CARNET Academia. And within this module, there are many, many different courses, but one of them is specifically focused on digital well-being. And why we did that? Because we noticed that Although we invest a lot in teacher education, in infrastructure, we provide a lot of support at the faculties of teacher education or when you study maths, but you will become a teacher. So when you take this course, they lack these skills. So this CARNET Academia will be offered to future teachers coming from all different backgrounds. And the module on well-being is really developed. And then one other, a bit smaller project, it won a National Geographic Award, is called Attend. And with this project, we were focused on children with special needs. So we connected with Iceland, because they have really good examples of practice, and Norway. And we equipped 37 centers for children with special needs with assistive technology, because there are a lot better results when pupils with special needs use this technology. And again, we provided support, education for this, and we also took teachers to Iceland to teach on examples of good practice. And finally, regarding projects, there is this flagship project in Croatia right now. Many of you here have probably heard about it already. It's called Brain, with AI in it, and it actually is focused on implementation of AI-based technologies and emerging technologies. And like other projects, it has all these components. One of the most important ones is the curriculum, but I'll be talking about it a bit later, which is implemented all over Croatia, and it teaches kids on how to use AI and critical approach towards AI. And it's also focused on well-being. And there is a big research on well-being, but I'm not going to take any space. I will talk about that a bit later.
Thank you very much, and thank you for also giving the historical, a bit overview of all the activities and initiatives that you've been doing in Croatia. And then Sümeyye in Turkey, of course, the directorate of the ministry is really implementing a lot of different actions, both top-down, but also trying to support the bottom-up. So, and in a way to support the responsible use of digital resources. So can you tell us a bit what are the main pillars of these actions and the main outcomes, perhaps, if you have any so far of the implementation?
Thank you very much for having us here to share what we are doing at the as the Turkish Ministry of National Education. Our DG is responsible for innovation and educational technologies, and we are leading broad policies to ensure that students and teachers can navigate the digital world safely, responsibly, and effectively. So our efforts are structured around 5 key pillars, as the other panelists have highlighted. First one is improving teachers' capacity to support digital well-being and the digital security and the safety of the children. In order to achieve it, we offer in-service teacher trainings, online courses, workshops, and tailored educational resources targeting our trainers and teachers. That is the main pillar, what we are doing at the country level. We organize special sessions for teachers around cybersecurity, the safe use of technology, enabling teachers not only protect themselves, but also guide their students with the best practices for digital safety and digital well-being in the classroom. That is the first point. We have an online platform dedicated for teachers, and the registered user is for the online courses we offer is more than 1 million teachers. And the second pillar is promoting internet safety and the positive online behavior. It is very important to provide internet connection in all schools, but also keep track how the internet connections and the devices are used is one of the main pillars we are dealing. To achieve it, all schools in Turkey are connected via centrally regulated secure internet connections, so any student in the classroom may not access to any website or any platform. So we need to have the educational purposes and the educational platforms included in the classroom. And apart from these regulation, we also have the digital citizenship initiatives led by the Council of Europe and the national scale. So we provide our students with the instructions, with the guidelines, with the content, how to use the internet safely, giving them information about the safe browsing habits, online privacy, respective online conduct, and ensuring that students develop into responsible individuals, not in the classroom, but also in the online platform. So it is the second pillar. Third pillar is limited to students' engagement in the digital platforms for their personal learning. So we have a huge learning management systems. It is called EBA, and the number of students registered in the platform is 18 million students. So we give them a personal development gateway where they could develop their learning portfolios, giving the digital content. They get access to digital content, videos, animations, and even MOOCs, so that they can learn about the AI, digital ethics, their digital footprints, and it is a kind of national learning platform for students, and they develop responsible online behaviors there. It is the third pillar we are dealing. The fourth one, which is also very crucial, is the curriculum. Within the updated national curriculum, we have launched a new curriculum last year. It is called the Turkish Century Educational Model. It is a tailor-made curriculum for Turkish educational systems, and all the skills and all the literacies are integrated and embedded into core subjects. For example, any science teacher and a mathematics teacher could also give the information about the digital literacy, media literacy, data literacy. So we have that updated curriculum and linked to several critical literacy with the content and the core subject areas. And the fifth one, which is also very important and aligned with the previous sessions in the morning, it is the parental engagement. We really value partnerships with parents in order to ensure that they have take care of children's online security and ensure that they are safe individuals in the online platforms. So recognizing their important role, we have launched a soap opera series in TV. It is in Turkish. The name is Veli Vision, which means the parent vision, like a television program. It is broadcast on TVs and the digital platforms, so any parent can learn how to support their children, how to take the precautions to support students and their children's well-being in the online environment. So it is the fifth pillar as the parental engagement. They could share what I say in terms of the actions.
Thank you. You can keep the microphone. Yeah, it's very interesting, especially since the country is very big and the numbers are very impressive. I will go for a second round of questions to the speakers, and then I will open the floor to any questions from you to the speakers. So start thinking if you have any questions in advance. So on your fourth point, you mentioned about the new curriculum in Turkey. And the questions it addresses on well-being and digital resources. So maybe you can explain to us how it's done in practice and what kind of support teachers receive to implement it and address the topics of well-being in the classroom specifically.
Yeah, sure. In terms of well-being, digital well-being has different domains. So we mainly tackle the digital well-being in terms of digital literacy, connect the concept with the literacy skills. So it is connected to digital literacy, media literacy, and the data literacy in order to protect themselves and behave in good behaviors in the online environment. That is our perspective as the policymakers when you think about the digital well-being. In the as a part of the online, as a part of our updated curriculum, we have specific topics on digital literacy and to teach our learners, students, how to be secure and how to feel secure in the online environment. And one of the courses is mandatory. It is our ICT and software course. And within this course, all the students are taught about the digital safety, cybersecurity in the lower secondary level, starting in the lower secondary level, and the age group is 11 to 12. And students engage with the structured lessons with their teacher. They learn about the digital ethics, online privacy, and strategy to build strong digital resilience early on as a part of our updated curriculum. It is the mandatory part. And as a second part, which is embedded to the all cross-curricular subjects, it is considered as the digital citizenships media literacy, socio-emotional learning, and responsible technology used, and any teacher teaching any subjects need to integrate those concepts into their teaching and learning activities. So it is not mandatory as a course, but all the teachers should teach it in their teaching and learning activities. It is the second area that we are dealing. The third one is about our online resources and educational resources. All those resources are available in our national LMS. Any teacher would like to learn about how to express themselves safely, how to protect themselves from the cyberbullying, how to be safe in the online platforms. They have a very high number of educational resources ranging from the videos, animations, guidelines, and it is all available in our LMS, and it is as it is integrated into teaching and learning. Any teacher can benefit it as a teaching materials, and any student can benefit as a guide and the documents to take care of themselves as individuals and build their digital well-being concepts in the classroom. So it is the how we deal with the curriculum and the courses.
Thank you very much. And continuing with the question of the curriculum, I will go to Klara and Croatia. So well-being is mandatory component of the curriculum now in Croatia. So what does this mean in practice, and how is well-being promoted, especially in the area of artificial intelligence? You mentioned the BRAIN project before, and the need for students and teachers to be prepared and ready for the use of such technologies.
Yeah. Well, it is through this BRAIN project that we developed 2 curricula, one for primary schools and the other one for secondary schools. And it's called Artificial Intelligence from Concept to Implementation. And the first part is more about the basics of artificial intelligence, how it functions, how it can be used. It's also about making students active practitioners, like they learn to do their own codes, and so not to be consumers, but to be to actively participate in that whole area. But the second part of the curriculum is more about ethics and well-being. So the things you have just mentioned: data privacy, safety, security, algorithm bias, gender bias. So the whole idea of the second part of the curriculum is to gain this critical thinking about artificial intelligence, and to know what it is doing to you if you're not aware of all these things. Why the things, when you search the web, why the things pop up that pop up, etc., etc. So to understand their own world better. So there are 2 curricula, and they have the same structure. And one is for, we call this, for us this is still primary school, but you call it lower secondary, that's right. So it's age 12-13. And the second one is for secondary school, it's age 16-17. So it's very, very similar, but it's more complex. But it's not long and it's not detailed, it's very flexible. So the idea, this year is actually in its experimental phase. So we wanted to see how they react to this, both parents, but also, parents, they're also important, I'll mention them later, both teachers and students. And we actually do 2 types of research to follow what they're doing. We have action research with 28 teachers, which we have built a community of practice with. They keep their research diaries. We meet on regular basis. We talk to teachers, we talk to children. So we have this immediate insight, what you mentioned, because each school is its own ecosystem or universe. Thank you. But on the other hand, we have a partner scientific organization which is conducting large-scale research. And many things that have been mentioned here today, that's something they have also revealed or told us they found out in their research. And that's also a very important part of the project, and it informs the curriculum. So this year it's in experimental phase, but next year it's going to be more detailed, and it's going to be informed with the research we did this year. And
so we're waiting for more results.
Yeah, it's going to be more developed. But this research, I should mention it because it is really important part of the BRAIN project. It's a longitudinal research. This is the pilot phase this year, and we have already more than 5,000 pupils participating, 400 for something teachers, also parents. And what we have also realized that it's really important to include parents. I think what we heard previously today in this research, how much parents' behavior actually influences children's behavior, but we will also develop, because the project will last until 2029, we will also include education for parents, because
Right.
it's very important.
Thanks a lot for sharing this. And there is more information about this also in the publication. And then going to Raffaella and INDIRE specifically, we know that INDIRE is pioneering two very innovative education initiatives, Avanguardie Educative, that also recently celebrated a new milestone, and Piccole Scuole. So how are these initiatives integrated in the work and objectives of the schools that take part? So how well-being actually is integrated in the work and objectives of these school networks?
Yes, Avanguardie Educative and Piccole Scuole are two networks of schools. The first one, and they introduce innovation in the school from many points of view. So from a pedagogy point of view, learning environment, but also from the point of view of the organization of the school. And in particular, Piccole Scuole, that means small schools, deals with smaller, remote and rural schools. So those who are in the mountains or in the little island we have in Italy. And this initiative promotes a systemic view of innovation where the quality of life of students and teachers is central to educational transformation. And when a school introduces an innovation for example, a new teaching model, they are encouraged to explicitly address cognitive load management, techno-stress prevention, and cyberbullying mitigation. So these well-being dimensions are core design principles. To support this work, the networks adopt a well-being digital framework that is called Benessere Digitale Scuole, which identifies 4 competence areas. The first one is information awareness and critical use, so the ability to navigate digital content safely and critically. The second is digital communication and relationship, so managing online interaction with respect, empathy, and emotional intelligence. Creative and responsible digital production, so using digital tools not only to be a consumer, but also to express oneself, also to collaborate with others. And finally, self-regulation of time and attention, so to adopt healthy digital habits. And these competence areas are also a sort of self-assessment tools that schools use when they join or renew the membership in order to reflect on their practices and priorities around well-being. Additionally, teachers involved in these networks benefit not only from the professional on a national level, but also from INDIRE micro courses. So these training paths focus on social and emotional learning, mindfulness in digital context, and inclusive digital pedagogy. So we do these courses also co-designing these with schools in order to meet their peculiar needs. Yeah.
Thank you. And the work that is being done in INDIRE has also informed to a great extent the work of the small and rural schools interest group of European Schoolnet, that indeed is also a member, and a massive open online course on that will also launch in autumn. So very interesting to see more European also participation in very interesting initiative. Cosmin, so how are teachers in Portugal prepared to address issues related to well-being, and in particular in digital environments? And what types of support and training are offered for educators? And perhaps also you could share a bit whether they are mandatory and how widespread these initiatives are in Portugal.
Okay. First, I would start thinking about the situation beyond Portugal, because I think given the fact that digital well-being is so recent and it's so accelerated, these trends that we are seeing, like if we think about in '95, I was using a Walkman, you know, and I'm not that old. And then in 2005, the computers were already widespread. 2015, social media was already a thing. And today, you know, all these studies coming out about the tremendous impact, as we have seen, of parental engagement with the screens, excessive screen time for parents, but also for young people. So it's in a span of less than 30 years, we have seen a lot. So I would dare to say that teachers are not well prepared to deal with digital well-being anywhere in the world. Of course, there are pockets of some promising and good practices and some evidence coming up and some integration of digital well-being knowledge on teacher training, pedagogical strategies, and so on, but it's still an area where we need to study more and to learn more about. And then I wanted also to make a reflection about other areas on which we know a lot for many years, for instance, inclusion, education of migrant children, or literacy teaching, numeracy teaching. These areas, we have strong evidence already, but the extent to which this evidence is integrated into teacher training programs, when we go and analyze the curricula in different countries, it's still problematic. So I'm wondering, even if we had more evidence, where we would be standing regarding preparation of teachers to deal with digital well-being. And a third point is also the overload of the information. I feel there is a lot out there. There are many initiatives, many projects, many toolkits, many learning scenarios, so many pedagogical materials, and this is actually part of the social media problem, because we do not have a stopping queue. One colleague was asking in the morning, but what's the difference between parents that were watching TV or reading the journal? Actually, I think one of the main differences is that we always get a stopping queue with this former ways of entertainment, that we finish the journal, we close it, and then we go to something else, we watch television, the movie ends, and then some break is given, we read the book and we end the chapter, and then we consider if we want to continue. But on social media, it goes on and on. And for teachers, I feel that they must be getting this impression as well. There is so much out there that you cannot really, you could always study all that is out there on digital well-being and other levels and still feel a little bit lost. So here I would like to bring the attention to the European School Education Platform that was mentioned in the European Toolkit for School Success, that attempt to aggregate these promising practices and organize them in a more manageable way. Also to help teachers with their own well-being, which is something that we discuss too little. We focus a lot on the well-being of students, which is right to do so, but the well-being of teachers is here fundamental, and the extent to which this well-being is also affected by digital means and by this overload of information. So finally, to answer your question, after providing this context, in Portugal, as I said, I believe is the case in other countries, we do not have yet a very, very structured approach to teacher training specifically on digital well-being issues, but we have pockets of good practice. So what we have in Portugal, which I find very, very interesting and relevant, are the regional centers for teacher training. Because unlike in other countries where we might have centralized teacher training unit, in Portugal we have regional centers by municipalities or even by school clusters that have their own teacher training offer and their own events. And I have been noticing what they are doing, and actually the digital well-being is becoming more and more part of their offer. I still feel it's a little bit isolated. They do one seminar, one event on the the topic, so not yet structured, but it's improving. And then we also have what we call the ICT centers for competence, and these support the schools in the integration of information and communication technology and the development of digital competences. And these centers are usually attached to universities. There are many experts around, and they actually provide this support to schools. They go to schools, they work with schools, and also teacher training offers and sessions. And again, these as well have been focusing more on digital well-being.
Thank you for this information, and also I like the introduction that you made, contextualizes a bit the situation. Perhaps we have a couple minutes, maybe we can get 2 questions if there are any. If you can raise your hand. See, Christina over there raises her hand, yes.
Is this on? Yeah. Okay, it's me again. So it was really interesting to hear all the details about various practices, and probably they're very welcome all around Europe when there are more information about the best practices. But I was interested, or I was expecting maybe to hear also about whether schools coordinate parents' decisions when they buy the smartphone, because I think this is probably the single most important contribution to learners' well-being, is that when they get their own smartphones. And we heard from Marco Ghi's presentation that there is this Patti Digitali, and he also mentioned the smartphone-free childhood in Britain that helps parents coordinate when they buy their first smartphones for the children. And they seem to be very effective because parents need, they need a way, like they need a key how to get out of the dilemma of buying smartphones too early. And it's like a collective action problem, because the first ones to defect from the norm are the ones who are paying the cost of defecting, and then the ones that follow then actually get the benefits. So this is interesting, I think, that, or I would be interested in hearing if any countries are implementing these kind of parental pacts where parents are brought together to decide on this matter.
Thank you. Is there any other question? Perhaps we can get one more? No? If not, back to the speakers. Anyone would like to? Yeah.
I'm not sure if this directly answers your question, but the idea, not the idea, but when we actually started the project BRAIN, one of the results should be the regulation of the mobile phone use. And the results now, after this pilot phase, call for a strong involvement of parents and for strong regulation of the use of mobile phone. So, because we are under the Ministry of Education, this is quite sensitive, and we will obviously have to see how to go about it, but it will have to be regulated if we listen to research.
Mm-hmm. So coming back to the recommendations that I presented at the beginning, precisely our point is to encourage schools to start the conversation with parents and with the entire school community, and then agree on a position to be taken at school level regarding the use of digital tools. This doesn't extend generally to what happens at home or this type of decision about when to buy a smartphone. I mean, that's still in the autonomy of the families, but having a school community that is working towards an objective that they decided together, I think it's very important and can help then in achieving this type of pact that you were mentioning, because if the decision is that these tools are perhaps harming the children in ways that we are very concerned about, then let's discuss also the possibility of delaying this type of purchases. And at the same time, we also know when we were working on these recommendations, one thing that I didn't mention is that they are put together and let's say developed and informed by a lot of researchers and experts in the field of digital well-being in Portugal. And during the elaboration of the recommendations and all the people that we were listening about this issue, we have met schools that have decided actually to ban phones in their school communities, because we don't have this in Portugal at the national level, and I don't know if we should, to be honest, but some schools have decided to go into this direction, and in some schools it worked, in others it didn't. So then again it brings the question to the school community. This has to be a joint conversation, because if you ban the phone inside the school, or if you delay the purchase for some children, but others then have access to them and they spend 6-7 hours per day outside of the school, then the very negative effects that you very well presented are gonna still be there. So the most important is really to adjust to the needs and the reality of each school, and to have this joint decision. Parents have to be part of the conversation, teachers have to be part of the conversation, and the entire community in and around the school.
Thank you. And maybe I draw attention to the previous Agile Collection of Information, Volume 4, that focuses on the use of mobile phones in schools, and the policies that our countries are taking on that. So perhaps that would also have more information on this particular matter. I hear weird. So I will have to close, unfortunately, this session. So Sümeyye, Raffaella, Klara, and Cosmin, many thanks for joining us today, and to all of you for hearing us, and hope the report that we just launched today is of interest and useful for you. So thank you very much.